This weekend, a movie that people are calling one of the greatest of all time released into theaters called Project Hail Mary. It was a very busy weekend for me. Thursday and Friday I was busy. Also, March Madness started, so I didn't get to check out the movie until late Saturday night. And I normally can't get around to making videos on Sunday. That's why I'm putting out my review on Monday. But I saw it. I was very much looking forward to it. Obviously, not only because people were saying it's one of the greatest of all time, but also because, it's a Phil Lord, Christopher Miller directed project. It's got Ryan Gosling in it, and it's a brand new sci-fi adventure. Obviously, I was a little bit excited for this movie. Before I give you my thoughts on Project Hail Mary, if you would subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell. And what are your thoughts on Project Hail Mary? Were you excited if you haven't seen it? If you have seen it, do you think it's one of the greatest movies of all time? Like a lot of people are saying, it's already in the Letterboxd Top 100, which is a little insane. And with that said, Project Hail Mary is a really, really good movie. Do I think it's just a tad, teensy-weensy bit overhyped? Absolutely, I do. I don't think it's one of the top 100 movies of all time. A lot of people are saying it's better than Interstellar, which I just hard disagree with. But it is a really good sci-fi adventure. Starting with the positives, you gotta start with the cast. And for a huge chunk of this movie, it's just Ryan Gosling talking to a CGI alien. And not even a humanoid alien, a rock alien. Which, it could take a lot for someone to get invested in that type of story. But it's easy, not only because Ryan Gosling's really good, but he has such a great relationship with Rocky. But let's talk about Ryan Gosling for a minute. He might be the most consistent actor of all time, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, because I went through his filmography, and every single movie is a 3.5 star or above. Dude, he puts out some consistent films that he acts in, and this one's no different. He is funny, he's charming, he's fun to be around in this movie. And you just love his portrayal of Ryland Grace. And it helps when his relationship with Rocky is really, really fun. And, we'll talk about this in a minute, but the movie is really, really funny. And his chemistry is so full of heart, is so funny, that you just, if you don't like the movie based off that chemistry, I think you're mentally ill. Because they were phenomenal in the movie. On a filmmaking aspect, this movie is stunning, dude. Is cinematography, visual effects, all phenomenal. Everything looks real. I saw it in IMAX, as you should too, but, best decision of my life. Several sequences that blew me away. It looks great. Greg Fraser, I think, did the cinematography for this movie. He did the Batman, the Dune movies. He's doing the Beetle movies and not doing the next Batman or Dune movie, which is insane. Whatever. But he did this movie, and it looks phenomenal. The visual effects look phenomenal. And just on a technical aspect, this movie is just really a work of art, man. That sequence that is in that trailer where, it's the purple lights is genuinely one of the best sequences I've seen in a theater in a long time. And just, when a movie, by the power of cinema, just by the way the movie looks, can bring me to tears, that's a big positive, man. I thought 10 times during this movie, heck, probably during that individual sequence, I thought to myself, this is why I love movies. This is why I walk in the theater and I watch movies. The script for this movie is also really well done. I loved that the movie is so sciencey because it's sci-fi and very smart, but it also doesn't make you feel stupid. It explains everything that they're talking about in a way that makes sense without being oh yeah, let's sit down and have a monologue that explains and tells the audience that they're stupid. It allows you to think, it allows you to figure things out yourself, but at the same time, it is smart, it makes a lot of sense. That's another thing I really loved about the movie. And the script itself is really good. Like I said, snappy dialogue. It can be really funny. There's a twist in the back half of the movie that I genuinely did not see coming that I thought was just phenomenal, man. And so it's just a very, very well written script that is written from the same writer of the book. So that explains it. And like I said, the movie's really funny. It is consistently laugh out loud. Ryan Gosling has some phenomenal comedic timing, and I laughed my butt off the entire film. that, like, from beginning to end, there's just consistent jokes that don't feel like they're undercutting the emotions. Whether it's, like, genuinely funny or you're laughing because it undercuts a scene, the tension in the scene, or even the humor adds to the emotions a little bit. It's a movie that is hilarious without being, like, a funny movie like the MCU, that every single big sequence has to be completely humorous instead of emotional, because it doesn't trade in the emotions, because that's the next thing I'm going to talk about, dude. This movie's emotional. Probably throughout half the film, I was in tears, and I'm not even going to lie to you, man. I cried quite a few times in this movie, because it just consistently delivers emotions, whether it's the score, which is just a phenomenal score. It should definitely get nominated for an Oscar, and if it doesn't, I'm going to charge into the Oscars, and I'm going to freak out. I'm not going to do that. But anyways, like, the score should definitely be nominated. Whether it's a score that's just so beautiful, or it's the visuals, or it's the fact that you care about these characters, and you want to go on this journey with them, and you care about their goal, and you don't want, or you want them to succeed, and you don't want them to perish, or it's just that relationship between them, the bond that they have. There's so many different emotions I went through in this movie, and it is great, man. I had tears in my eyes throughout the majority of the film. You're going to get your eyes wet. I think if you have a soul, you're going to shed a tear during this movie. It has some very consistent emotions. So, everything about this movie, the cast, the cinematography, the visual effects, the emotions, the score, the script, it is a really, really, really good movie that I really enjoyed. With that said, I can't say it's one of the best of all time. I can't say it's in the top 100 on, like, of all time, because the big issue here is that it is way too long. It is 2 hours and 40 minutes long, right? Which, I don't mind a long movie. Long movies are great, right? I love sitting down and watching a big 3-hour blockbuster. However, this one did not need to be that long. I thought several times it could be 2 hours long, and the big issue is that it feels like this movie has 3 separate endings. There was a time where the movie felt like it was wrapping up, and I thought to myself, that is a big positive. A 3-hour movie that felt like it was only 90 minutes, well, instead it was only 2 hours into the movie. We still had another hour left. What could they possibly do when it feels like we have everything figured out? And it starts to get a little bit repetitive, because not only that, but we get to another ending where it would be incredibly satisfying, and all of a sudden, we just keep going on. It's like we have another half hour of the movie left. And then when we get the real ending, it just keeps going on and on and on. And it's cool because there's so many surprises, so many twists, you don't know where we're exactly going to end up at the end of the film. But it comes to a point where you're like, it's feeling repetitive. Several times throughout the movie, we're like, oh, this character's gonna die. Oh, they're not dead. Oh, this character's gonna die. Oh, they're not dead. Which, you know, allows for the emotions, and I teared up most every time it happened. But at the same time, you sit back and you think, this has gotten a little bit repetitive. I think the movie would have definitely benefited from a 2-hour runtime. Just quick in and out. Would enjoy it a lot more instead of sitting there and thinking, oh, okay, this doesn't need to be in the movie. Oh, this doesn't need to be in the movie. Now, I'm not going to complain too much, because I obviously really enjoyed my time with Ryan, Grace, and Rocky. It's hard not to have a fun time with them. And the emotions still really worked by the end, and that's when the twist comes in that, like, flipped the whole movie on its head for me. That I think if I watch the film again, that twist is going to make the experience even better. But I do think it would have definitely benefited from a 2-hour runtime. This is also a film I think I need another viewing to fully wrap my head around. I do really want to go watch this movie again. Unfortunately, I'm in a little bit of a financial predicament right now, and I don't have the funds to go see the same movie twice, especially when tomorrow I have to go on a double feature to see Undertone and Ready or Not 2, because I'm really behind and I gotta get those reviews out for you guys. So, I do desperately want to watch this movie again, and as soon as it comes out on 4K, I will be purchasing it. With that said, before I give you my final score on Project Hail Mary, I would love to know your opinions on the movie down below in the comment section. That's why I do this. I want to know your opinions on the film. And with that said, Project Hail Mary is, like, on a technical level, a masterpiece. The cast is great. Cinematography, visual effects, script, score, all of that. And you care about the relationship between Grace and Rocky, and you absolutely adore how good this movie looks on IMAX. but it definitely would have benefited from a 2-hour runtime, and I think I would love it a lot more than I did if it was a 2-hour film. With that said, Project Hail Mary for me is going to get an A-, and this is a film that is a must-see in theaters. Thank you guys for clicking on my review of Project Hail Mary. I think it's got a big chance to get Best Picture at the Oscars this next year. I know Oscar season just ended, but that is just my opinion. And with that said, subscribe.